Comment. Well, right now I'd like to introduce you to a new guest of ours. His name is Joe Holmes, and Joe is with Decatur Utilities, where we get our electricity and our gas. Okay, the friendly folks at DU. Okay, and Joe is the public relations coordinator.
Correct.
And
Communications.
So he is a PR man. Why don't they just make
well
it?
Put, Susan. Well
it's just a PR. And Joe and his family, Bill and I, live in your mom and dad's house. We bought your mom and dad's house, and they're delightful people.
They are.
And and your sister-in-law was on my show once, and now Joe's on my show. Is this a small world?
It is a small world.
It gets smaller every day, I think.
Absolutely.
I do. Okay, now, Joe is new at this job. Well, a little while. You've been here a while.
6 weeks.
Yeah, 6 weeks. Okay. But it's a new position, so we wanted to get him on because if you have requests or questions or you're going to be doing some
Absolutely
things,
correct, yes.
You're going to bring the old the van out or the out of mothballs that used to go to the schools.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that. And show safety.
We sure are.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Your biggest problem that you think, and I don't think you've had it yet, or have you, is when the electricity goes out. Do you have to go to work then? Do you have to, or you don't go home?
That is correct. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, and yes. We're blessed that we've got a very close system here, and we have the ability to backfeed from different substations if we have temporary type outages. So typically our outages are not going to be of an extended duration. Of course, occasionally we have an April of 2011 type situation when we actually had very little damage on this system, but we couldn't get electricity from TVA.
Right,
and so
because they had damage.
Then you're into a very extended type of outage. But yes, when the power goes out, we're all on call, and our crews are coming in. We're going to get it back on as quickly as possible.
I often worried, it worried. Okay, so there I am doing something that goes, and I go, is it me? You always worry, is it just my house?
Right.
And then you look outside and you see the streets all gone, and you go, well, somebody will be calling. And they do. Or you could tell already, with modern technology, you could tell.
We actually have an outage management system in place, and that is a computerized electronic map of the entire service area. And so when we have a SCADA system, which will tell us when a breaker has been operated at a substation, so we can actually begin to see what's happening on the system there in real time on the computer. But as well, when people begin calling in to report that their power is out, that begins to go into the computer system, and it predicts back upstream which device has failed. For example, if a tree falls onto a power line and it trips the breaker back at the substation, that could knock out 1,500, 2,000 people temporarily. And we can predict that because we know that this group of people is called, so it must be this device that's failed.
Oh, so it is good to call.
It is good to call.
Okay.
Go ahead and call, yes.
Okay, call.
But chances are that if you see the streets dark, that we are aware of things. But I do want to talk a little bit about that notification process, because one of the things that we're putting in place very quickly is trying to get that information out there so that you can be aware that we know of your outage and we are working on it. So we're going to be releasing that information on our website. Just as quick as we know what areas are affected, we'll be posting that to Facebook and Twitter and our website.
Okay, but if your electricity's out, you can't get it.
If you have a smartphone,
okay,
you're able to get that.
Smartphone, okay.
Right. But then we'll also be getting that to the radio stations, the TV stations.
No electricity. When all the tornadoes came through, we were down.
That's why we encourage you to have a battery-powered television or radio very close at hand, so you can always get to that information. You can always tune in your show.
I have a battery-operated TV set at home.
Just make sure you have batteries for it when the time comes.
Yeah. That's it. You're not running all over all the time.
Right.
I always have.
And also, just a little side note is keep those batteries outside of the device. Keep a fresh set sealed.
Right.
And then when you have that type of situation where the power's out for a while, then you can put those in. You're able to get the TV stations, the radio stations, and get that information.
A long time ago, is there still a store called Sharper Image?
Yes.
Oh, there is?
There's Brookstone. I don't think Sharper Image.
Okay.
I think they're on catalogs now.
Okay, but it used to be the place called Sharper Image, and decades ago it had the neatest stuff. You'd go in, and it was so futuristic. Okay, and they had this little TV. Okay, just a little carry. It looked like a little makeup bag that a lady would carry. Okay, and you put one of those big old batteries in it, and it was a radio and a TV. Mm-hmm. And the screen's only like that big. But boy, when electricity went out, it was great to have because you know what was going on.
It's always good to be prepared. I hope we don't have another April of 2011 for a long time. Hopefully never again.
Never.
But we've got to be prepared for it. Like I said, typically most of our outages are going to be very short duration because we can get to things very quickly.
Correct.
But when we have those widespread situations, we're prepared to go out and get
that was a horrible
there.
day.
That
was a horrible day. Never want to live through that again.
Absolutely.
Okay, now, so your job in what you want to do is get out information, and that's why you're going to be coming on the show. But information, how to save on your electricity, how to save on your heat, how to save on things, you know what I mean? And we are, I think I'm trying more than ever to conserve my water, to watch where I put the temperature in my house. I don't go and change it every 5 minutes. I put it on, and that's where it is. I don't move it. I don't move it. And I'm not going to be cold and I'm not going to be hot. But I don't
Yeah, unless you're going to be gone, on vacation for a week, then you might want to set it back. But if you're just running out to the store or running to church, don't run it down because actually it costs more to try and overcome that temperature difference when you come back in than it does just to let it sit there and run.
Well, I lived in a house once, Joe, that had a heat pump. In the north, heat pump in the north, like stupid. Okay, and when it would get so cold, that heat pump was on red, on red auxiliary, and you just went cha-ching, 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 and it would never get the house warm. You'd have to light all the fireplaces and everything to get the house warm.
Absolutely. The colder it is, the harder your unit. If it's a heat pump, it gets to a certain point that it won't operate, and it does kick in that auxiliary heat, and that.
Okay, well, what we're going to do is we're going to take a break, and we have a satellite interview scheduled here. And then Joe's going to talk to us when we come back about some of the scams that are going on pertaining to electric companies. I mean, they've run the gamut. All right, so we're going to take that break, and we'll be right back. Back, everybody, and don't forget Cricket's having that sale. Oh, it's so much fun, all those great things, and what I'm wearing is from Cricket's. And it's just a lot of fun to shop there, but she has a great sale going on. Well, Joe Holmes is with us, and he's the Communications Director and Public Relations Coordinator for Decatur Utilities. And you're a neighbor of ours.
Yes.
I have a question before we start talking about these scams. Are you ready? When my electricity goes off, does yours too? Does Decatur Utilities go off?
It just depends on where you're located. Now, we live out in Priceville.
No, here, the headquarters.
Oh, the headquarters. More than likely, unless it's just an isolated type.
So if there's a storm or something, are we on the same breaker that you're on? I don't know.
I would have to look at the map, but we have some backup generation in place because we need to keep operating to get.
Right.
You don't want us completely out of power, so we're trying to get people back on.
Someday we'll go down there and get a picture of this map that you have, and we'll all see how it's all taken care of. All right, what is this scam that is going on that's just terrible?
Well, we are seeing an ongoing scam, really. It's something that's been going on for years, and it seems like we're seeing just a widespread attempt now, people to target the elderly and some of our other customers. And typically it'll work like this. They'll call you and represent themselves as being from the local utilities company. They typically won't say Decatur Utilities because they really don't know the official name. But they'll say, we're with a local utilities company, and unless you pay your bill within 30 minutes by giving me a credit card number, we're going to come shut your power off.
30 minutes?
They are targeting people and trying to get an emotional panic reaction so that they'll either give them a credit card number, but the most recent one is they told them to go get a money dot card, prepaid card, come back and give them that number, which this customer did. And once that happened, there was no recourse.
It's gone.
We will never call you and demand payment over the phone. We may contact you, and if we do, we're trying to help you set up a payment, have you come in the office and pay online, use one of the legitimate payment options, but we're never going to threaten to be out there in 30 minutes. I mean, there is a point at which you will be shut off because that's just the way we have to operate, but we're not going to call and directly call your number and say, you got 30 minutes and that type of thing. And we will always identify ourselves very clearly as Decatur Utilities, and we'll have account information and things that will let you know that it's a legitimate call.
Right, so if you get a phone call like that, you go, what's my account number?
If you get a phone call and someone says, I'm with the local utilities company and we're going to cut you off, hang up. If your caller ID has picked up a number, you know, that's helpful information, but typically these are numbers that are not traceable.
No,
and it's very difficult to find out who's doing it.
Sure.
Because they know what they're doing. They know how to get around all the system.
Probably not in this country.
Probably not, but they can be. They could be down the street, and because of the way that the technology is available. And the other thing is, if you're going to be gone for a week, let's say on vacation, make sure someone's picking up your mail and taking it, because a lot of times they're beginning to rifle through people's mailboxes and get a bill or something that has some of your personal information.
Your number on it.
Then they can represent themselves a little more.
Like, hey Joe, this is your utility company, or they'll see Decatur Utilities.
See that. That's right.
And what's my code? Da da da. And I'm going, wait a minute. Decatur Utilities does not call me unless there's something really, really bad.
So the general rule of thumb and the safest thing to do is just, if you have any doubt, hang up, call our number.
Call that number right there.
Right there, and talk to one of our customer service reps, and you can know then that you're dealing with the actual utilities company. We've tried to be very proactive.
And this lady, how much did she put on their money card?
$410. And what's sad, Susie, is she wasn't behind on her bill. She had paid her bill.
What scared her? Oh, it just scared her.
She had paid her bill. She wasn't due until July, 23rd.
Right. She was on.
She panicked because someone was representing themselves, and they scared her. And so we're trying to be proactive and get the word out to all of our customers, but especially those that these people are preying on. Just hang up on them. The worst thing you can do, if it was one of our customer service reps and you hang up on them, that's okay. Just call back and we'll answer the phone and we'll help you. But most of the time, that direct call is going to be from someone trying to run a scam. So hang up on them. But
the money card, and then if they have your charge, you have to charge it 30 minutes. Well, let's think about it. 30 minutes. Let's logically think about that. If we don't get there, if you don't pay now, we'll get there in 30 minutes. So does Decatur Utilities have trucks lined up, ready to go out because we don't have your payment? The logic of it is you don't have that many trucks that you could be running around shutting people's electricity off, because that's not easy.
We go through a process. You have so many days past your due date.
Right.
And then we begin to
correspond
and try to work with you. And if you are in a situation where you can't make that payment, call us. We have options available to try and help through those situations. We understand that people face months when situations, and we'll try to work with them. Of course, there comes a point at which we do have to terminate service, and we don't like to do that. But we're not sitting there with the trucks revving up, ready to go. That's just a threat. That's a threat tactic that these people use to create a sense of panic. And it's really sad that they prey on.
And there's all kinds of things. We haven't gotten your bill for this month, and you're always so prompt. And you go, yeah, I pay my bill all the time on time. What do you mean you didn't get it? We didn't get it, and it's due, and we're going to shut your electricity off because we don't have your bill.
They will use any tactic they can to create that sense of panic, get you to do something that you really know probably in your mind that you shouldn't do, but you're thinking, I've got to do this. Hang up and call us. We'll work you through it and make sure everything's on the up and up.
You've heard, all of you out there have heard all those scams that are out there, and they could just put like 2 of those scams together and call you. And of course you'd go, oh my goodness, I don't want my electricity shut off. Oh my goodness. That's very fearful. Yeah. And especially to elderly.
Absolutely.
And, because Tricia Pruitt comes on our show all the time from the Better Business Bureau, we talk about, they'll drive through neighborhoods and they'll see, are the elderly living here? Who's living in this neighborhood? What kind of neighborhood is it? Is it a retirement kind of neighborhood? And then they just get addresses and away they go.
That's absolutely
just start calling. And with computers and everything, man, it's easy.
The good thing is we live in the information age.
and we can get the information out.
Right.
And
So-
you know what? There's more and more of that, you know, especially with you doing this and with Tricia coming on here. And it's all of us, we're the watchdogs today. And we've got to contact the establishment. So if I got a really weird call, I'd call Decatur Utilities and say, hey, I got a really weird call. I don't know if it was just me or not. I had, on 4th of July, there was someone walking the neighborhood with a clipboard. Okay, and they'd look at a house and they'd do this and do that. So I 4th of July, this was too weird. So I called the police to 911, okay? And I said, this is not an emergency. I don't know who else to call. So they took it, you know. Well, the kid gets up to our neighborhood and proceeds to tell me he's with a AT&T. And I said, may I see your business license? Oh, I don't need one. I have this. And I said, what's that? My ID. And I said, oh, yes, you do need. I want to see your business license. He says, I don't have it. They dropped me off, and I'm here selling. And I said, it's 4th of July, okay? And I don't know if you had any of that going on in your neighborhood. But anyhow, he said, oh, well, you're untouchable. And I said, what do you mean I'm untouchable? He said, well, you have another carrier, and we're not supposed to come to you. Okay, so then he turned around and ran it, but then the police came, and I don't know what they did. But somebody walking in your neighborhood with a notebook taken on 4th of July, that's like being there on Christmas Day, or, you know.
So you did the right thing. You were aware.
Because all of you have taught us to be that.
And you contacted the authorities to get to the bottom of what was going on.
Right.
And that's what we're telling people. Just
somebody drops
be aware,
off.
Be informed, because we offer all kind of payment options. Go to our website and see the legitimate ways you can pay your bill. And then just be aware. Just be aware of your surroundings, and when those types of calls happen.
And I don't like to
hang
be
up and
like
call
a
us.
nibby or a meanie or anything like that. But we protect our area.
Protect
We
yourself
protect
and your
our neighborhood. And somebody with a notebook taking notes, that's just not
It's
something that happens.
always better to err on the side of being safe.
When I lived in Cleveland, and I lived in Geauga County, and you moved into the county, you moved in.
Mm-hmm.
And you're there, and you're unloading your truck and everything. Ooh, and here comes the sheriff. The sheriff came to introduce himself to every person who moved into that county and said, if you don't like a car, you don't like a person walking on your street, you just don't think something's right, you call us immediately. For the sheriff to go every time somebody moves, is that awesome? I think it's awesome.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah. So again, all that stuff got instilled in me so early on in my life.
And that's the kind of thing that one of the things I'll be doing is just continually putting that information out there, because we want people to know that these things are going on. We want them to know what to do, and we want them to know how they can legitimately pay their bill. And so all those types of information is what we'll be putting out on a regular basis.
Yeah. And then he's going to give us tips coming up. Tips
right.
on usage of electricity, tips on keeping our gas bill down. Because if we keep all this down, it's just great for the environment too. And less drain on the equipment that you have. The less drain, it's a win-win for everybody.
Right.
Okay. Well, Joe, thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody, I hope you enjoyed it. And we got to meet him up close and personal today.
That's
But
what
how
we
many
did.
kids do you have?
Have two.
Okay.
they're both grown.
And what schools are they going to?
Oh, they're
Gone?
They're gone.
College?
College. Out.
Where?
My daughter is teaching in Mobile. She graduated from Auburn. And my son graduated from Auburn. He's working in Auburn now. So,
Oh, okay. He's
so they're
doing
both
good.
grown up and
On their own.
And on
And we're
their
so
own
glad
dime.
to have you back.
It's good to be
Right?
back.
Because you were over someplace else working for a while, but now he's back home. So we're excited.
It's
And
good
we're
to be
glad
here.
to have you. All righty, we're going to take that break, and we will be right back.